In this video, let's analyze the complete story of the reptiles from Zootopia 2. We'll break down everything they've been through, from their origins to how things finally worked out for them in the end. Long before Zootopia was even founded, the reptiles lived happily in a lush tropical area called Reptile Ravine. It was their thriving community, full of warmth and the perfect environment for them. Back then, they were part of a bigger world, but one reptile stood out, Agnes the snake, who was the great-grandmother of Gary the snake. Agnes was a true genius. She saw how other animals were struggling to survive because they couldn't handle the weather. Some needed heat, others cold, and it was tearing communities apart. So, she invented the weather walls, these amazing barriers that created controlled climates everywhere. Her creation made it possible for all kinds of animals to live together peacefully, laying the foundation for the Zootopia we know today. But tragedy struck. Ebenezer Linksley stole the whole idea from her. Not only that, he committed a serious crime to cover his tracks and pinned the blame right on her. This ruined Agnes's reputation and stained the name of every reptile. Because of the lies and backlash, all the reptiles were forced to pack up and leave their beloved home in Reptile Ravine. Ebenezer didn't stop there. He buried the entire ravine under a massive blanket of snow to hide all evidence of what he'd done. Then, he took full credit for the weather walls, holding on to that power and passing it down to future generations, which is a big part of what plays out in the film.
Snakes never hurt anyone. We aren't the bad guys. They are.
With no home left, the reptiles were out in the cold, literally and figuratively. They couldn't stay in Zootopia anymore, not after the scandal and everything that had happened. So they had to search for a new place to call their own, facing all sorts of challenges along the way. But as the story unfolds, you'll see how they persevere and things turn around for the better. After being driven out, the exiled reptiles had no choice but to settle in a tough spot called the Marsh Market. This was a humid rundown slum on the far outskirts of the city, a forgotten place where the ZPD had no authority and hardly any land mammals ever bothered to visit. For a full century, the reptiles scraped by as second-class citizens. They survived by trading goods on the black market and hiding out in secret spots, like the Reptile Hangout, an old sunken shipwreck that had been turned into a makeshift sanctuary. Life was hard there, always on the edge, with no real rights or respect. They couldn't fight back or clear their name until someone proved they were the real victims in this whole mess. That change finally came thanks to Judy, Nick, and Gary the snake. Working together, they uncovered the truth and set the record straight. It turned out the reptiles were innocent all along. It was actually a reptile, Agnes, who had created the weather walls and made Zootopia possible, not the Linksley family like everyone had been told. With the facts out in the open, justice prevailed. By the end of the movie, the reptiles received an official invitation to return to Zootopia, and their lost home, Reptile Ravine, was fully restored as a key district once again. The film wraps up on a high note, showing Zootopia becoming truly inclusive after 100 years of treating the reptiles like criminals and villains. They finally get to go back to their ancestral home, reclaiming their place in society. But don't get too comfortable. Zootopia 3 is clearly building toward another big conflict, and it's going to center on the birds. We get a hint with that single feather falling at the end of the credits. We don't know the exact details of what trouble they'll stir up yet, but it will definitely involve the birds in some major way.